Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So if you recall a couple weeks ago, I was doing that budget Brembo 17Z caliper upgrade to the front. So I fitted those to the front. I got everything to fit. I had to do some trimming using those overkill engineering brackets. So today, I gotta get to the back rotors and calipers. So I've got the same matching 17Z calipers for the rear, which are also used on the Audi Q7 and the Porsche Cayennes. And I'm gonna fit them on this car using RCF rear rotors. You could also use ISF rear rotors on the rear. The reason why I was using the RCFs was because I found a set of blank ones without the slots or the drilled holes in it, which match those GS350 F Sport ones I used up front. So stay tuned. So what we got today is these budget Brembo 17Z calipers that I got on the rear here. These are basically like a dime a dozen. You could probably find them on carpart.com for like 20 bucks each, plus another $20 for shipping, which is what I really paid for these. I think I got these for 60 bucks shipped from a junkyard in Georgia. The rotors I've got, these are dynamic friction. These are the only ones I found on Rock Auto that didn't have the drilled holes or the slits on it, so they match those GS F Sport front blanks that I got. Hopefully I can still get them in the future. These are the only ones I found, and they were for the RCF and the GSF. All the stuff that I found for the ISF all had drilled. I couldn't find any blank ones. The RCF and the ISF have the exact same diameter, which is 345 millimeters. That's 13.6 inches. Thickness on this is 28 millimeters. So they're massive rotors. I mean, they're not much smaller than the 360 millimeter fronts. So today we're going to get them onto the car. I've got to do some trimming of the heat shield and all that stuff behind there to get these rotors to get on there. And then once I do that, I can fit the brackets and see how much I have to trim on the inside of these. It's going to end up rubbing a little bit of the rotor, so you got to trim a little bit of this part out. And that's the only thing you need to trim for the rear, not like the front. The front was like full send, massive trimming. The rear is just slight trimming right here, just to get this down to clear the rotors. So over here we have those overkill engineering brackets for the rear. So these are the same brackets, basically mirror images of each other for either side of the car. I had to pick up these bolts from BelMetric. So these were the 14 by 1.5 by 30 millimeters for the calipers. You can actually use the stock bolts off those calipers, but I didn't get them when I ordered those. Those use an odd socket anyways. They use a triple square, which is not a common one, so I recommend you switch to one of these Allen keys or just regular hex bolts to fit anyways. And then I had to get some of these, which is the 12 by 1.75, which hold the bracket to the spindle. And then you got to pick up a couple of lock washers to match. So that's basically all the hardware and the brackets you need to mount the calipers to the car. Oh man, that was a pain in the ass to take that off. So you notice I popped the rotor with this little guy, which is basically just a 12 millimeter headed screw. And then you pop the rust and the corrosion so the rotor comes off. But it looks like these springs and this retainer kind of popped out of here, which caused the pad to lock onto the rotor. And it wouldn't let me release that thing off of the freaking hub. So I was able to just basically pry that thing out and get it out. So now I gotta fix that, make sure all the springs are correct before I mess with it again. So now that we fixed that drum parking brake, we're gonna have to start trimming this dust shield. So in order to fit this bracket, which basically goes right here, this bracket bolts on right there where the factory ears are, and then you'll see I have to trim the dust shield right up to there. This would be the new mounting point for one of the ears for the new caliper, and that's going to be the other one right there. So I'm going to trim that all the way, and then I'm going to cut that lip off of this dust shield like I did the front and try to retain as much of it as I can, keep the dust from getting too much on the back side, and provide some kind of cooling on here. So I got everything trimmed nicely. I think it clears. I didn't have to trim this bottom part because it's already pushed back a little bit. Just the sides are right down to here, and then over here. So I think the rotor should clear now. Yep, clears on this side perfectly fine. Clears back here. That bottom part, I'm gonna just have to bend it back a little bit with some pliers, and it should fit perfectly after that. We'll just have to clean up all these edges with a flap disc and a grinder just to make sure that there's not any too many sharp edges on here, and then just hit it with some spray paint after that. So I bolted this down before I even shaved it, and it looks like it might clear without shaving it, because right now I haven't gotten it fully tightened down yet, but I could actually spin this thing. I'm gonna try putting the wheel on and see, or I'm gonna tighten it all the way down and we'll see how this fits once I put a lug on here, just to see, make sure there's good clearance. Looks pretty clear, it doesn't rub, or there's clearance. Yeah, baby might fit without actually trimming it, so at least that's a good thing, I guess. Spinning it now, no rubbing, no nothing. It's actually got more clearance than my clearancing job on the front, so that makes my job a lot easier without having to shave anything on the caliper itself. Man, if it's not one thing, it's another. So with all my measurements and everything that I've been doing for this, I assumed that we were gonna clear with this caliper, but I'm like 2 millimeters. I'm literally like 2.5 millimeters off the face of this wheel right now from clearing. So I'm gonna, just for testing right now, I'm gonna put a couple washers just to see how they fit behind here and to know what kind of spacer I'm gonna have to run back here just to make it work. But yeah, maybe, I think when I was taking my measurements, I was measuring the old disc, which didn't have the basically double thickness rotor because it's vented. So oh yeah, that little washer trick did the job. It's like a 2 millimeter or less clearance issue with these calipers, but oh yeah, look at that clearance right there. No clearance whatsoever, even with this little washer spacer. So we got one little win as far as not having to shave these calipers using these rotors. I don't know if it's the rotor specifically or what, or the version that Overkill Engineering used. I believe he used ISF ones, but I don't think there was a difference. Maybe this manufacturer is just 1 or 2 millimeters smaller for some reason, I don't know, but that's a good thing. The bad thing is I can't clear these stinking wheels over here. What I'm gonna do is, I think this face, I'm just gonna take a palm sander, a flat palm sander, and try to just sand it down, just take a couple mils off of there from sanding before I powder coat and all that, so that way I don't increase the thickness too much. And hopefully that's good enough to clear these wheels right here. But that's the only issue I've got so far right now. But I'm just happy I don't have to shave any more caliper. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in all the way to the end of this episode. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the dust shield cleanup and flap disting and getting rid of all those edges off camera. Along with the other side, I'm gonna do that off camera just to get the fitting and getting all that dust shield stuff done. As you can see, this project for the 17Z rear brake caliper went a lot faster and a lot better than the front, just because I didn't have to shave down the caliper. The only problem we ran into was getting that wheel to clear, which I didn't expect, because I thought there was plenty of clearance, but I didn't account for the double thickness of the rotor being vented and all that. Other than that, we just got to put a 1.5 millimeter spacer. So don't forget to stay tuned for a future episode. I've got my powder coating equipment and powder coating stuff coming. So we'll go ahead and take a shot at powder coating the front and the rear calipers on this car and get them reinstalled. Other than that, I just want to thank all of you guys for tuning into the channel. Over the last year and a half, as I started concentrating on getting better content out, the channel is steadily growing. I just want to thank each and every one of you that keep on watching my videos and subscribing and tuning in, following this YouTube journey with me. The channel is growing a little bit slower than I expected, but I guess that's YouTube in 2020 and 2021. There's so much people making YouTube videos these days that it's hard to get a lot of people to tune in and subscribe. But I just want to thank you guys for all tuning in and leaving comments and giving thumbs up and all that. But don't forget to leave comments, leave questions. I try to answer everything that's asked on all my videos. You know, if you have a question, just go ahead and ask. I also include a lot of information in the description box of all my videos to help you guys, whether it is buying the product or instructions on what to do or additional information that I discover. But anyways, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys next time.